Spiritual Christianity, collected from the theological works of Emanuel Swedenborg, by Charles Augustus Tulk. Chapter 4 continued. From Heaven and Hell to 8:1. I have had frequent conversations with angels on the subject of innocence, and have been informed by them that it is the essay or inmost ground of every kind of goodness, which is only so far real as it has innocence within it. The same is consequently true of wisdom, which is only so far real as it is derived from innocence, and this is equally the case with love, charity, and faith. For this reason it is that no one can enter heaven unless he be innocent, which is meant by these words of the Lord, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for as such is the kingdom of God. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child shall not enter therein." In this, as well as the other passages which occur in the word, the innocent are meant by little children. The state of innocence is also described by the Lord in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24 and 25, but in this passage it is represented by mere correspondences. The reason that the intrinsic worth of goodness depends upon the extent of the innocence that is in it is that all goodness is from the Lord, and to be led willingly by him is innocence. I have also been instructed that there can be no conjunction in the mind of truth with goodness and of goodness with truth except by the medium of innocence. On this ground also it is that no one can be an angel of heaven unless there be innocence in him, for heaven is in no one before there be in him a conjunction of truth with goodness, and this is the reason why the conjunction of goodness and truth is called the heavenly marriage, and this heavenly marriage is, in fact, heaven. From Heaven and Hell to 7:8. The innocence of wisdom is genuine innocence, for genuine innocence is of an internal kind, being a condition of the mind itself, that is, of the will itself and of the intellect as its effect. And when innocence is in these, it is at the same time wisdom, for this too is a condition of the will and the intellect. It is on this account said in heaven that innocence dwells in wisdom, and that an angel has just so much wisdom as he has of innocence. The truth of this they confirm in the following manner. Those who are in a state of innocence claim nothing of goodness to themselves, but consider themselves as debtors and attribute all things to the Lord. They desire to be led by him and not to lead themselves. They love everything that is good and delight in everything that is true, because they know and perceive that to love goodness, which is to cherish it in their wills and practice it, is to love the Lord, and that to love truth is to love their neighbour. They live content with their possessions, be they little or much, for they know that they receive no more and no less than is profitable for them. Little, if little be profitable, and on the contrary, much, if much be profitable. For it is not they who know what is best for them, but the Lord only, who in all things provides for their eternal welfare. Therefore they are not solicitous about the future, calling such solitude care for the morrow, and describing it as a mental pang which arises either from the loss of such things as are not necessary for the useful purposes of life, or from disappointment at not receiving them. They have a good and just and sincere end, and never a wicked end in view in their transactions with their companions. To act from a wicked end they call cunning, which, because it is altogether opposite to innocence, they shun as they would the poison of a serpent, as there is nothing which they love better than to be led by the Lord, and as they hold themselves to be his debtors for all things, they are in consequence withdrawn from that state of mind which naturally belongs to them, and in proportion as this is the case, the Lord inflows into them. Hence it is that they do not store up in their memories what they have heard from him, whether it be immediately by the word or by preaching, but instantly obey it, that is, receive it into their wills and manifest it in their actions. Their very will is actually their memory. Persons such as these, however simple they, for the most part, may appear in their outward forms, are in their inward forms wise and prudent, and are meant by these words of the Lord, "Be ye prudent as serpents, and harmless as doves." Such is the innocence which is called the innocence of wisdom. From Heaven and Hell 2:8:8. Heavenly peace, as it is in fact the divine essence, inmostly affecting with blessedness the very goodness which the angels possess, can come forth manifestly to their perception no otherwise than as a heartfelt delight, whenever they are in the enjoyment of that goodness which constitutes their life, and as a sweet serenity of mind whenever they hear any truth agreeing with their goodness, and as a cheerfulness when they perceive the conjunction of the two. Thence it flows into all the acts and thoughts of their lives, and there exhibits itself as joy even to the outward appearance. But in the heavens peace differs both in quality and quantity according to the innocence of angels. Innocence and peace walk hand in hand together, for innocence is the source of all heavenly goodness, and from peace springs all the delight of that goodness. Innocence and peace are joined together like goodness and its delight. Goodness in the will is perceived sensitively as delight, and the quality of the delight is known from the goodness which produces it. It follows from this that the angels of the inmost or third heaven are in the inmost or third degree of peace, because they are in that degree of peace, and the angels of the lower heavens are in lesser degrees of peace, because they are less innocent. The conjunction of innocence and peace, like that of goodness and its delight, is exhibited in little children, who, being innocent, are in a state of peace, and being at peace, are playful in all their actions. Theirs, however, is a peace of an eternal kind. Internal peace, like internal innocence, can only exist where wisdom is, and along with it, or where goodness and truth are joined together. For this conjunction is the source of wisdom. From Arcana Celestia 3:8:8:7. The celestial kingdom is constituted of those angels who are called celestial, who have loved the Lord, and are in consequence of that love enriched with all kinds of wisdom, for they are preeminently in the Lord. The effect of this is that they are above all others in a state of peace and innocence, and appear to others like little children, for a state of innocence and peace is exhibited in that appearance. Every object of heaven is, as it were, alive before their sight, for that which comes immediately from the Lord is living. This is the celestial kingdom. The other is called the spiritual kingdom, and is constituted of those angels who are called spiritual. That kingdom comprehends those angels whose goodness consists in charity towards their neighbour, and who place the delight of their lives in being able to do good to others without any recompense than that they are permitted to do good. This indeed is their recompense. The more they wish and desire this, the greater is the increase to their intelligence and happiness. For in the other life the Lord freely gives intelligence and happiness to everyone, in proportion to the use which the affection of his will leads him to discharge. Such is the spiritual kingdom. They who are in the Lord's celestial kingdom belong all of them to the province of the heart, and they who are in his spiritual kingdom to the province of the lungs. There is like influx from the celestial into the spiritual, as there is from the heart into the lungs, and of all those parts which are connected with the heart into all those which are connected with the lungs. The heart reigns throughout the whole body and in every single part by means of its blood vessels, and the lungs also, every part connected with them by their respiration. Hence there is an influx of the heart into the lungs throughout the body, but according to the peculiar forms of the different parts and according to their states. It is this which gives existence to all the different kinds of sensation as well as of action which belong to the body. This fact is demonstrated by the condition of embryos and newborn infants, who, before the lungs are expanded, and an influx established between them and the heart in consequence of their expansion, are devoid of bodily sensation and voluntary action. Of a like constitution is the spiritual world, but with this difference, that it does not contain, like the natural world, objects which are corporeal and natural, but celestial and spiritual states of mind, which consist generally in the goodness which has its origin in love, and the goodness which has its origin in faith. These give their peculiar pulsations to the heart according to their states of love, and their respiratory motions to the lungs according to their states of faith. The influx of the one into the other produces in them spiritual sensation and spiritual action. To man, these truths must appear paradoxical, for he has no other idea of the goodness which originates in love and of a truth of faith, but as being certain abstract principles which have no power to effect anything. And yet the contrary is the fact. For from these states of mind, even in man, all his perception and sensation arise, all his bodily force and action. And from Arcana Celestia 4581. There are two universal genera of goodness, the goodness that originates in faith and the goodness that originates in love. They whom the Lord conducts by an internal way to goodness are in that goodness of life which has its origin in love. They who are conducted by an external way are in the goodness of life which has its origin in faith. In the former state, that originates in love, are the members of the celestial church, and also the angels of the inmost or third heaven. But in the latter state, which originates in faith, are the members of the spiritual church, and also the angels of the middle or second heaven. Therefore it is that the one is called celestial goodness, and the other spiritual goodness. There is a like difference between them as there is between wishing well to another from actual benevolence of mind and wishing well to another from well understanding. And from Apocalypse Revealed 8:1-8. The angels of heaven are not a superior order of beings to men, but are their equals. They are also, equally as men are, the servants of the Lord, for they have all once been men and have been born in the world, nor has there been any one of them originally created as an angel. True it is that they excel at men in wisdom, but this is a consequence of their being in a spiritual state of mind, and so in the light of heaven, and not like men on the earth, in a natural state of mind, or in the light of the world. But just in proportion as any angel excels in wisdom, does he acknowledge that he is not above man, but his like. And because they are not of an order superior to man, the relationship of men to angels is not of that intimate kind which is called conjunction, for only with the Lord is there conjunction, but with angels, consociation. And from Heaven and Hell 266. We may conclude what the wisdom of angels must be from the fact that their being in the light of heaven, which, in its essence, is divine truth or divine wisdom, and this at once enlightens both their internal sight, which is that of their minds, and their external sight, which is that of their eyes. Angels are also in a state of heavenly warmth, which in its essence is the divine goodness or divine love, and from this they derive their affection and the desire to grow wise. We may conclude their wisdom to be such that they may not be inappropriately called wisdoms from this, that all their thoughts and affections flow in accordance with a heavenly form, which is that of the divine wisdom, and that the interior states of their mind which receive the wisdom are composed to a resemblance of that form. How supereminent their wisdom may be concluded from this, that their discourse is the discourse of wisdom, for it flows immediately and spontaneously from their thought, and this from their affection, so that their discourse is thought and affection in an outward form. It is owing to this cause that nothing withdraws them from the divine influx, and that there is nothing of an external kind derived from other thoughts, as in the case with man, to divert them from their subject. What further contributes to the attainment of such a wisdom is the perfect agreement between all the objects which they see with their eyes and perceive with their other senses, and their wisdom, because they are correspondences, and hence those objects are the forms which represent the states of their wisdom. But besides all this, the thoughts of angels are not bounded and contracted as human thoughts are, by ideas derived from space and time, for these are the properties of nature, and the properties of nature withdraw the mind from spiritual truth and deprive the intellectual sight of its extension. The thoughts of angels, unlike the thoughts of men in this world, are not drawn away to earthly and material objects, neither are they interrupted by any cares about the necessities of life, nor withdrawn by those cares from the delights of wisdom. All things, as their garments, their nourishment, their habitation, are given them gratuitously by the Lord, and they are moreover enriched with delights and pleasures in proportion to their reception of wisdom from him.